on me making sure to forward them. So, all right. So we did get them then in a timely fashion. Is there a motion or any changes, or how should we proceed?
I'll make the motion to approve them as amended with Jen's comments, unless they were already reflected in the one sent today.
I got it.
Perfect. And then a motion to approve.
It's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? I think, Brian, you're an abstention, right?
I said aye.
You have to abstain if you.
Yeah,
want.
you weren't here, so you would have to abstain.
Fine.
Okay.
6-0.
So, all right. So, correspondence. Again, the correspondence I had relates to, we have 3 gentlemen in front of us tonight who all indicated an interest in the open position on the budget committee. And that is the only correspondence that I had, other than the usual information that gets forwarded to you from the school district and the town. So then jumping right in to member discussion and interviews for a new member. We have 3 gentlemen here with us tonight. We have Jack Whitnell, we have Jim Spots, and we have John Sun. And I'll just, why don't we briefly go around and introduce ourselves so that they know who they're speaking with. And you want to start with you, Brian?
Hi, Brian Hodgkins. I just started here a little while ago. So
John Burnell.
Jessica Martin. Nicole Forty.
And John is the selectman's representative. Both the school board and the selectmen send a representative voting member to the committee. So just to clarify who your title. Cindy Couture, I'm the chair.
Michelle Flynn, recording secretary.
Jen Burke, happy to see 3 people here.
Carrie Douglas, vice chair.
And the one person who is arriving late tonight is the school board's representative. Apparently, he also does some coaching, I believe, and is on his way back from a game.
Hope they did well.
To be honest with you, I don't know if
Unless
it's a
they're playing
local team.
us.
I don't know if it's a
No,
local.
it's for his school district.
Oh, another team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say, I hope they did well
He's a
unless they
middle
were
school
playing
soccer
us.
coach for
Okay.
his school district.
So, I have John's name down first. I think John was the first one to answer the call. So if you want to just come up and tell us a little bit about you and why you're interested and what you have to offer the committee and whatever else you'd like to tell us.
Thank you. Nice to meet all of you. As Cindy said, my name is John David Sun, a new resident here to Litchfield. We moved here about 6 months ago. My wife actually grew up here in New England and New Hampshire and still have a lot of family here. So we have 2 little ones. We have a 5-year-old Abigail who's fortunate to start all-day kindergarten down at Griffin. So very exciting. And a 2-year-old. And so with 2 little ones, it was important for us to get back close to family. New Hampshire was always someplace we knew we would end up. And we love the small town feel of Litchfield. I actually grew up in a small town in Kentucky, very similar size to Litchfield. And so when we were looking at houses and looking at areas, this very much felt like home to me. A lot of my family is still there. And so when they've been out to visit a couple of times and they say very much the same thing. My background is in education. Like I said, I grew up in Kentucky. I was a high school teacher and high school soccer coach there for 9 years. And then I had the opportunity to be a chief information officer for a school district there for 6 years. Right when my wife and I got married in 2010, we actually relocated to Chicago area. We were looking to get close to a big city, and we spent 6 years in Naperville, where I also worked for a school district in the information technology role. I've spent the last 3 years working for Discovery Education, which is a company, if you're familiar with Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, Science Channel, we're the kind of the education arm of Discovery. And so I work with a lot of schools and districts in the New England area with a lot of our digital content. My background with budgets and finances, obviously being in school districts and being an administrator for 10 or 11 years, I had an opportunity to work with school budgets. I also had an opportunity to be a part of youth soccer organizations and other volunteer organizations that managed budgets or are a part of city councils and city organizations. So I have a fairly involved background with different budgets of different sizes, from a few $100,000 to multi-million dollars. My interest is coming from a sense of wanting to get involved and wanting to give back. It's always been something I've been passionate about, even back when we were in Kentucky. Volunteering to coach local soccer organizations, volunteering to be a part of groups that were going out to schools and speaking to students about various topics. It's just always been a passion of mine about giving back and being a part of a community. So when we moved here, I was looking for opportunities to get involved. I actually coached soccer this fall through the Litchfield Soccer Organization. My daughter played, and so for us, it was a great way for her to get to meet people before she started kindergarten in the fall. And for me, just looking for another way to give back. And when I saw this opportunity present itself, it was something that not only I felt I had some good experience in, but just another way to get involved and to give back. So that's enough about me. I certainly entertain any questions or anything.
Anybody have any questions? Would you, if you got the position, or if you didn't get the position, would you be interested in running in March?
Yeah, more than likely.
It's the sign up is generally, let's see, the end of January, and then elections would run the beginning of March.
Okay.
Nobody have any questions? Okay,
Well, thank you all. Nice to meet you.
thank you. Nice to meet you as well. Next, I have Jim Spots down.
My name's Jim Spots. I think most of you know me. I served on the budget committee last year. We moved to Litchfield in 2005. I have one daughter in the high school and one son in the middle school right now. What I bring to the budget committee is I have experience with the processes last year, both on the school and the town budget. I also did some time working in the state, so I understand how the RSAs are structured, and some of the funding sources that are available to the municipal governments. My background, I did 31 years in the Coast Guard, and then I've done a couple jobs in private industry since. So.
Any questions? So my only question is same thing. Would you be interested in running in the next election, the signups in January and voting in March?
Cindy, I'll serve if there's an open spot. If you have a vacancy and there's you need someone to fill that vacancy, but I probably would not run again in March.
Anybody else?
I appreciate your candor, though.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And last but not least, we have Jack now.
Hello, everybody. As you know, my name's Jack Wignall. I've been a resident of Litchfield since 2002. Put two kids, well, 1.5 kids through the school system. Got a 21-year-old, almost 22 years old, who's, thank God, graduated. And can't say she's moved on, but she's she's still with us. And then we have a sophomore in high school. So just like the first gentleman said, I've always wanted to give back to the community. However, with the job that I previously had, I was unable to do so. I was getting home at 7, 8 o'clock at night, this, that, and the other thing. And now I have that time available where I can jump back in and try to give to the community that the community's always given us. As far as budget experience, I don't have what these other guys have as far as budget experience. I worked in the trades my whole life. If you asked me to put some input on the fire station, I would have gladly have done so. And I think any other town projects that were to come up, I think I would be a big help in that. And that's about all. That's what I get to say. Any questions?
Questions? My
What's
question.
your question?
My question is, would you be interested in running in January?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, great.
Thank you. All right, we have 3 people interested in our open position. I'm interested in opening it up for discussion.
So I'll start by saying I'm really excited to see 3 people here.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you very much for volunteering and coming out here. And while there aren't 3 spots, I certainly hope that whoever is not selected is encouraged to come back, because you all told a great story about wanting to serve your community. And you just went through probably more than most of us did to get on this committee. So please come back. Please.
Any other thoughts? Motions?
I just have a comment. I mean, as someone who's also newer to Litchfield, and New Hampshire has a lot of its own particularities and things. I mean, I think it would make the most sense because we do have quite a few newer people this time around, to have someone who maybe had more experience. And then in March, we do have those open positions, and maybe it would make more sense if people were interested and maybe didn't have as much experience, to try to just balance out, if that makes sense, who knows what. And, if it was something where this was going to be kind of a limited, like just now, because it's budget season now, we're going to be we just got information from the town, we really need to be jumping into this. So to me, it makes the most sense maybe to take someone that has a bit more experience, at least for now, knowing that there are quite a few spots open up come election time.
Yeah, this was a unique year where we have 1, 2, 3, the open position,
Half the
4,
board.
5 new faces. So there's certainly something to be said for having somebody that has the experience. On the flip side, the empty position would have been a new person anyways that had no or little budget background, other than I think there had been a brief time as the selectman. But so it 6 of one, half a dozen of another.
None of us wants to say. I mean, it's hard, right?
It is hard.
I think all 3 of you bring amazing qualities. And I wish we had 3 spots, honestly, right now, because all 3 of you gave a very compelling argument to be on this budget committee. So I don't know. Carrie, any thoughts?
I feel like in some ways Jim's at an unfair advantage because he's the only one I know. And that doesn't mean that the other 2 of you aren't wonderful, but I'm usually decisive, but I just don't feel, I don't like making this decision based on the limited information and interaction we've had.
Agreed.
So I guess I feel it's comfortable if I flipped a coin almost. I just, I don't know that I would be any less happy with any of the choices. Not that, again, that you aren't each doing their own thing, but I don't know you guys well enough to be able to say.
All right, we are very grateful to have 3
Absolutely.
interested people. There will be at least 2 open positions.
I think it's 3.
At least 2. Well, depending on unless you have made a decision about running or not.
No, I haven't made a decision,
Okay,
but
because
regardless.
that's what I mean. I know there's at least 2 because I'm not rerunning this coming year. So I know there's at least 2 positions that are going to be completely open that nobody is, re-upping for, and possibly a 3rd, depending on Jen's decision at that time. So I would definitely encourage you to run. So having said that, I hadn't really thought about the experience and the new people until you brought it up. So I'm going to make a motion to bring Jim on board. If there's a second.
A second.
It's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
So we don't actually get to vote on,
Yes.
Each one. So we don't, we make a motion to appoint one of them, and then there's a second, and then we vote on that. So if you weren't in favor of the person that Cindy made the motion for, then you would
Vote
say
against.
no. You would vote no. But we don't, it's not like a popular vote. Does that make sense?
And it's a public vote.
I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily like it, but
One of the rules for a committee is there's no ballot voting. So that's actually a law. You cannot take a ballot vote in a public committee.
And is this just an interim position until,
This is just through March, which is why I asked the question of I want to encourage people to run in March, because we definitely, don't want to lose good people.
And previously, we have talked about other opportunities to inform the public and have people, the idea of like, how can you get experience before you get experience? So to try to put some of the information out there so people are more informed, so we have people
just
running.
because someone has experience doesn't necessarily mean the other person wouldn't be just as good for it, or their experiences in town wouldn't bring something to the table.
So
That's absolutely true. And so to argue against my motion, to bring somebody in for 6 months and give them that experience before they run for office is a great opportunity for somebody. So it certainly speaks then to bringing somebody completely new on board. And as I said before, the person they are replacing was a brand new person as well. So it's not like we're trading somebody who had knowledge for somebody who doesn't have that experience. So again, just to speak against my motion, there's the flip side of the argument.
So I think that would be one reason why I would consider voting no. Not that I don't love you, Jim, but to the point where if we're going to have a couple of open spots, it's an excellent opportunity for somebody who would like to continue on to obtain that experience without losing the experience they have when they decide that they'd rather enjoy retirement or whatever it is that you are enjoying. So to me, I'm probably leaning towards more. We already have a lot of new faces. We should probably bring somebody up to speed. And again, it's not to say you're going to win the election, but considering how few people run, the odds are probably in your favor. So I think if we're going to spend the time to bring somebody up to speed, I think you want to make sure that investment in time is something that is likely going to be carried forward. And I'm sorry, if Jim were willing to say I wanted to run in March, I'd be like, yeah, sure, but we're not sure. Okay,
It's a no.
Okay, there's a definite no. So, yes, I think so to me, I think that I would, again, please don't take it personally. I think I would want to consider somebody who is willing to stay longer term. Me personally.
Other thoughts?
Personal joke. Not that I know who I would vote for on the other side, but I know that.
All right. I'll give you an opportunity to vote. All those in favor of the nomination for Jim Spots for the open position, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All those abstained?
Aye.
So it's a tie vote and a tie
It's
vote.
2-3, wasn't it?
Yes, you said,
I said aye to the nay, or whatever it is. Yes to the no.
so would
You
the
had
vote
three
would,
nays.
There were 3 no's.
yes. I didn't make it, so if I vote yes,
Yeah,
it's
then you're-
3-3,
yeah.
it still loses.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let there be another motion.
I'd like to make a motion. I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but Jack.
I'll second it. Go ahead. Any particular reason you gravitated towards that side of the road?
Yeah, I like his experience in the trades. He's been here for a long time. And I like how when you asked him if he's going to be running again, he's like, absolutely.
All right. My only drawback in my mind is that you don't have any budgeting experience outside of what experience you would gain on this committee. So I do see that as kind of a drawback there.
I don't see his lack of, I don't have a budget experience either. I just have a passion for this town. And I see a lot of things in here that, the only reason I ran for for the budget committee in the first place is to try to influence what I don't like in the town. And he's been a resident here for a long time, and that's probably why he's doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you don't have budget experience, it's not something you can't learn.
That's true. Having been through this for 20 some odd years, understanding basic budget helps. It's not a breaker, not but it definitely helps. And we're jumping right into budgets. And so just, I see somebody who's got that background already in budgets would be a more helpful.
Helpful how though? I mean, if I look at what the town's spending and I don't agree and I want to vote no, or I agree and I won't vote yes, I think he should have the same right as should anybody. I mean, maybe I don't run spreadsheets like other people, but I still have the general knowledge of numbers. And I understand taxes go up, taxes go down, generally go up. And he might feel the same way. You know, I don't think you have to be an accountant to be on this committee. The whole purpose is to get varied opinions.
Yep,
Well,
absolutely.
and I would agree. I mean, prior to this, I didn't have any experience specifically with budgeting. There was some information I got at this training, and I've been doing a lot since starting the board to understand some of the basics. There's a lot of just content knowledge that you wouldn't necessarily know. So, I mean, if I would open up to anybody, and then, with Jack as well, and, if you would be interested in some of, receiving some of that knowledge, that information, even just the basics of like how warrant articles are written, things like that. I mean, I know you've got.
If you want me to go to school for 4 years?
No.
Let something happen.
No.
But yeah, I mean, and you say I don't have any experience with budgets. I do, with just a different type of budget. And yeah, of course, anything that I can pick up along the way, that's what I would like to do. And just like this gentleman stated, I went on the committee for the same reason why he did. And I want, I really want to give back to the community, you can't sit there and complain about something unless you're willing to do something about it. Right? And that's why I want to get on here. And I'm not saying that my career in this town is going to stop here. I want to see how things work and possibly keep going.
So one of the things I think would lean me towards Jack is I like the fact that he has the historical background probably more than some of us. He probably lived in town longer. Well, I'm sorry, you said 2002?
Yes.
So he's been in town longer than I have. So he would know probably more of or if you've been tuned in, at least why things have been done the way they. Sometimes some things are done really odd until you ask why, and you're like, oh yeah, well this guy talked to this guy, and oh okay. And if somebody knows that history, because with the turnover, we have a lot of newer faces that don't necessarily have that town knowledge, so it might be good to have somebody who has a little more depth in that area versus spreadsheets. I mean, I was a budget manager, and I'm the one without the laptop, so I'm not going to argue that. So I would definitely encourage you to get involved too, because there's a lot of very quirky things that New Hampshire does, which is the default budget I'd never heard of before I moved here. Because where I grew up, you could vote no as many times, and they kept trying to submit a new one.
And there are new rules about the default budget that I found out about tonight.
Yeah, I actually printed the thank you.
So I mean, we have one person who brings like a lot of experience in diverse areas and different interactions, and then you have somebody who's has more of the home ground knowledge of history. So not that both aren't involved and interested and necessary, because like you said, there's more spots opening up. But maybe it's worthwhile having somebody with a little more historical knowledge in town. We lost Bill. We need somebody else with some more.
Somebody other than me.
Yeah.
Who does the spreadsheets and has the history.
Especially knowing that you're leaving.
Yeah. Train somebody new.
Exactly.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of appointing Jack Whitnell to the Budget Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstain?
So ayes are 3.
Passes. Yes. Yep. Because I'm going to vote yes as well.
Okay.
So it passes.
I just supposed to vote when the question's asked.
So the vote is 4, 1, 3. Does that add up? Yes. Okay.
We'll need a new chair next
So
time.
welcome
Thank you.
and thank you, John, very much for
Thank
coming
you very
out
much.
And I definitely say, John, please run in January. We'll look forward to seeing your
Jim,
name
give
on
it
the
a
ballot.
Be nice to meet you all.
Please definitely keep track online and everything so you're up to speed when election happens.
All right, so there's some logistical things that need to be done. Sometime, because we meet next next Thursday, October 4th. We dive right into the town budget. So between now and next Thursday, you need to come to town hall, be sworn in by Terry. You need to give contact information to John, so he will make sure that you're on our budget committee email list.
Okay.
And actually, I have your email, so during the week, will send you some information that we have on our bylaws, on past last year's budget, and any other links that I think are important for you to have.
Excellent.
Okay?
Okay. Fantastic.
All right.
So I just come into town hall.
Come into town hall. Terry is over in the corner office.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
where you register your car.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Great.
she's in there, and
Excellent.
we'll make sure that she has the paperwork and is ready for you.
Okay. Great. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right. So I'll see you guys next week.
Next
I guess,
week.
then. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're also free to stay.
Yeah. Go enjoy
All right.
his last Thursday free for a while.
Cindy, I have his personal email too. Can we just go ahead and set the account up and then forward
Yes,
the
if
details?
you have that, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And I will let Troy and Terry know. All righty, so then we will jump right into town business if John is ready.
Can't multitask right now.
I know, that's what I was gonna say.
Trying to get that up like
I just
5 hours,
gave
I'll
you
forget.
a job and then asked you to do
Yeah,
another
no,
one.
that's okay. So as an update from the town, general update, the 2018 budget is still running on target. We're about 32% remaining, which is where we should be at this time of year. Still some concerns around fuel costs. As everybody know, I think I talked about it last time. We budgeted $2.25 a gallon, and I think now it's running about $2.34 a year average. So there's some concerns there, but the budget is still very healthy, so we're not overly concerned. Tax rate is still not set yet. We're expecting DRA to do that sometime in the near weeks. They're still waiting for the county and school revenue numbers to come in for the DRAs until they set it. So we don't really expect it until probably October.
Just in time for the bills.
Yes. As an update to the fire station, I think everybody's probably heard or saw the steel beam that we were waiting for arrived today and was installed today. So that means the roof will continue going up. Siding is being installed. Weather sealing and all that's happening over the next couple of weeks. So we'll start to get weather tight within the next 3 to 4 weeks, which means a whole lot of things will start happening inside and there'll be a lot more activity going on site. As a side note, they are talking about potentially moving to that building in January, well ahead of schedule.
Wow.
That assumes a lot of things happen. There's still some factors that could get in the way, but it's going much better than we all thought it was going to happen.
So
So
one of the questions that was raised on social media was a question
it's
about
fake news. No, I'm just saying.
about the heating and electricity to the building.
This is the Tom Schofield post.
There was just a question of which budget it's coming out of and why it's.
Bottom line is
there.
coming out of the town budget. Doesn't
Yeah.
really matter if it's coming out of the GC factors or coming out of the fire department or the town general government buildings. At the end of the day, we still got to pay for it one way or the other. So I suspect the tanks that were filled of propane came out of the fire department budget, and then the rest of the stuff will come out of the GC contract or out of the customer funds that are set aside. But yes, I look at it as it still comes out of the bottom line of the town budget, wherever line it comes out of, or what physical department comes out, it's still coming out of our pocket.
Which is interesting, especially if they expect that it might be occupied by January. That's understandable.
Yeah, I think the power was, they had the electrical was being run just on Wednesday, whatever day it was, the rainy day, Tuesday. So that was getting run. I don't know when it's going to get hooked up. Right now we're on generator, and you got to believe that the fuel for that generator is coming out of the GC cost. So, again, you build a building, you got to pay for power. So, and eventually heat. I don't know when the building will be heated. They still have the floor. They still have the apparatus floor to pour. They still have the utilities of the mechanicals to go in. And I think the mechanicals are not targeted till sometime in November.
Actually, I take that back. They're probably going in at the end of October. I think the structure wiring and all that's electrical will start going in once the grid's up and that, yeah. No, it's not.
No, I'm just saying, my scouts went through the walkthrough, so got to see it, and it was.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, it's coming along. There's been a little, some jigging some things around as they get the building. I mean, we probably should do this way. I think we had to add an extra door because no one thought about a door out of the kitchen where everybody's going to be. So it's like we had a big window but no door. It just made sense to put a door in.
Contingency fund.
Right. And I think those were the nice thing about that. They're all being done early, so that impact is very small. And in all accounts, the budget's well under what's expected. So, which is allowing us to take, do things that we thought were going to be out of scope or could be out of scope that we need or prioritize. So they are doing that too, but it's coming along, and it will be on budget. As some highlights, I think you all received the links to the 2019 budget and sort of the warrants. Those warrants are still in flight. They're just some of them are just placeholders, but they're there for your review. But as some highlights for the 2019 proposed budget, right now, as it stands, what's been reviewed by the Board of Selectmen, the budget stands at about $6,792,229, which is about a $500,000 increase. That factors in sort of the bond payment and different things that are going on from the last year's budget, including all the increases. It includes the new the new full-time police officer that was approved last year. This is a 2 cruiser year. We're in a 1-year, 2-year cruiser. This is the 2-year cruiser year. It also includes the union increases, the town and the library merit increases. They're all approved. So the fully loaded cost for the stuff that was approved in 18. It reflects the fuel, what we expect to be fuel increases, propane increases. The one positive note is salt went down by almost $5, which is interesting considering how far it was going up the last few years. As always, the budget has been put together with some numbers around insurance, health, and dental, and all that. We don't have those numbers still finals. We don't expect them until the almost end of August. End of October. If you look at the budget, health is in there as a 10% increase as just a holder. We don't know where it's going to come in. It could be higher, it could be lower. But like I said, we're expecting to have those quotes mid-October timeframe. So we'll obviously be changing those as soon as we have them. The other thing that's not included in there is the health agencies. I think in the years past, we brought it to warrant and had the voters decide on it. We're still deciding whether or not that's going to happen. A lot of agencies are approaching the town asking for donations to the point where it's a lot more than we actually have approved in the past. And so the board is still thinking about how they're going to approach that.
So how do we look relative to the tax cap?
Oh, great question. I was gonna ask.
So,
Great minds, man.
yeah, so it's one, actually, I just forgot that too. So as it relates to the tax cap, I believe it's about, we're still calculating the tax cap, which is difficult because you think the tax cap today is $175,000 max. We have an offset of our revenues. We have $175,000 increase in revenues this year based on cars and other different things that come into the town. So I believe right now we're at the edge with everything we can calculate. So numbers, I think we're looking at like maybe $10,000 or $15,000 over the tax cap.
So if the calculations are up to date in the spreadsheet, it looks like the budget is over by about $26,000.
Yeah, I think he zeroed out his calculations because doesn't want to have anybody be confused. But yeah, and we could be that. And
But that doesn't factor in a police union increase or the
well,
contract.
I think we put a number in there just to have we have a factor in there, we believe. So that'll vary too. And that the union negotiation is underway, and that'll have a factor as we finalize the budget. Or the
Are
warrant anyway.
they're continuing, this will be the first year to not have the matching highway block grant?
So the board this past year was not going to put it forward because we thought we were going to be impacted by the first bond payment. And when that didn't happen, we let it come through. And the voters, obviously, as they have in the past, supported it. But we made a commitment not to have that there this year because we're going to have an over $200,000 bond payment. We didn't want to have that significant of an increase. Because of all the work on the roads we've had done, because of the situation we had with the water, we're somewhat ahead of our schedule in areas that we needed it, but we're also behind in other areas. So we'll focus the money that we do have in the areas that didn't get touched. So it will come back probably the next year potentially, but I don't know.
As long as possible, because that was kind of the offset that we.
It is an offset, but we got
Negotiated off.
so far behind on the roads, that money was allowing us to get caught up. We were doing very large projects every year, and we had a road agent and contractors that could get it done. And most of the road work was done before June.
Yeah.
So we got it done in a 2-3 month period, where in the past we've gone years without any road work being done. So, but yeah, the board is.
I'll let you be the face of that one. 'Cause
The board does not want to have the impact of the community to be any more than it needs to be. So again, it will be a year-to-year decision, I believe.
Okay.
We have, to be honest, we have other priorities, right? There are other priorities that are going to stop popping their heads up as we get past this season that we've got to figure out how to attack. So, but that's my update.
All right, so the town accounts that are being reviewed next week and what that will involve, I assume Troy will.
Yeah, so Troy will be here. Obviously, I'll be here. The administrator of the department head will be there for the larger ones. I believe Troy will probably handle all the small ones like we've had in the past.
Okay.
I think fire's on next week. I don't recall.
It is. So we have sanitation administration, the board of selectmen, town meeting, town clerk, accounting, tax collection, general governmental facilities, ambulance, fire administration, fire hydrants, code enforcement, emergency management, health department, street lighting, welfare vendor payments, patriotic purposes, conservation, and debt service are what is.
Yeah, so I suspect the
Schedule.
town clerk will be here, the fire chief will be here, the recycling center manager will be here, Dave Mellon, and then obviously Troy and I will be here. And the way as it has in the past, I think Troy will probably present the budget, and the bigger ones, the department head will probably talk through it, and the little ones he'll run through the chart.
So our job this week is, the agenda's already set up, so I'll send out the agenda tomorrow. Make sure you take a look at these budgets. If you have any questions, try to bring them with you while we have the people in the audience and while it's being presented to us. That doesn't mean questions can't come up the following week, but it's just easier when we have everybody here if you get a chance to look ahead and come with your questions.
Yeah, I also suggest if you have them, if you want to put them in writing and funnel it through the chair and get it to Troy so he can get it down to departments, especially if it's something technical that we may not even have to present, but if you want to know about it, that would be helpful.
So if I'm not able to attend next week, I can submit any questions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I could swing by town hall and get a printed copy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, because Troy asked the question, who wants paper copy? And I said, me.
Okay.
It's always one in the group.
This should not be a surprise. Do I have a screen?
Yeah. Did you already respond back to them? Let them know.
I already said paper, please, and responded back.
Okay.
So I just wasn't sure if
Did
it
you
was
do that
available.
from a computer?
I did.
So you could have printed on a printer at home,
I don't get a stipend. I'm going to just use your ink.
which is coming out of your taxpayer anyway, right? So okay, I see. This is the issue, right? It's like comes out of yours or whatever.
So
But,
did you already ask Troy?
I did.
Okay.
I mean, you want to come by and get it tomorrow? I mean, I'll call him in the morning and see if he can print it out for you, and he'll ask me to email you back.
Although maybe I'll just decide to do it myself because you do double-sided and I prefer single-sided. So we'll see.
You can ask me to do. Well, consume more paper. I don't know.
Maybe I'll give him a ream of paper. Just please use your ink.
Whatever. If you want single-sided, I'm sure he'll do a single-sided.
All right. Anything else for the town? Okay. Moving on to school district business.
First thing, before I forget, the fence we keep going back to at the kindergarten. I talked to Corey last night. The fence, they're coming, I think this coming week to look at it, to make plans. But I guess the holdup is going to be they also have to get the plowing company there to make sure it's not damaged. Basically, the design done ASAP. The money's still there from the account, but it's ASAP right now. They don't have a total completion date for that until
At least it hasn't fallen off the radar before
no.
the ground freezes.
Yeah.
So one question, I don't recall how it was worded. Did that also include the portables at LMS or was it just GMS?
the fence.
A fence.
I believe it's just GMS.
Because I couldn't remember.
It's just GMS.
So I remember it being
Sure.
security upgrades for a fence. I just couldn't recall if it was just GMS or if it was also.
I'll ask what that is.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I think it's just.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. If
Obviously,
they give you a really good deal, maybe you could swing them both.
obviously school started. Did you want me to go through the report you just sent out for Corey, or do you want that?
Yeah, if you can go through
Okay.
the information we
So just
received today.
briefly, there's I guess now that I don't kids just go through bus issues going on, but Michelle has got that under control for the first week of October. We said second week of October. Corey brought up the asbestos walkthrough at GMS. They're giving a clean build. Yes, there's asbestos in the building, but it's contained. I believe they said 3 more rooms that will be done. Definitely over the next 2 years, I believe. And there was a question about if we could look for the opportunity of getting it done in 1 year. Kindergarten is right on target. They've got an inspection that's taking place. Oh, it took place on September 20th, a walkthrough to get a punch list for anything contractors have to finish up before the end. Corey didn't have a firm number, but he believes they're going to come in under budget on the portables and setting up the kindergarten. So we should have a number next month on that.
So what was I believe I heard that there was like ponding at the upper side because the way it's sloped, and then you put in the portables, and then all the water pools up against the side.
I didn't hear anything about it.
I haven't heard.
Yeah,
Alright,
he didn't
no,
bring
you-
anything up about
okay.
that. But I know he said they had he didn't say it was a large list. He said it was a reasonable list of things they have to go back to the contractor to fix on that. And again, it'll come in a little under budget.
Oh, that sounds good.
GMS vestibule, I guess the one thing they're trying to figure out is they have a second card reader, what they're going to do with that as far as entryway and exit. So they're going to look at that over the coming week and get rid of, either move one of them inside the doors or get rid of the second one. And that will be determined over the next week. 2 of the pass card readers. They want to make sure they have the channeling of people going to the building in the correct way. We also are starting the process, see if there's any money available for changing configuration of the entry to LMS. That'll be ongoing. I won't know anything about that for quite a while. The wood shop should be up and running today. So the wood shop should be back in code today. Alice training was conducted. We haven't rolled it out to the kids yet, but the staff is fully trained on it. Having been through it in my school district, it makes a lot of sense. And it's a good thing for the district.
And can you just explain what ALICE stands for, what it's about?
Alice is a change from the traditional lockdowns if there's a problem in the school, whether it's a medical emergency or an intruder, where the staff has the ability to make decisions for the safety of the kids, whether it's staying in the room, barricading the room, or raising.
No longer huddling in place.
No longer, yeah, don't sit shut down. So,
Yeah.
there'll be more on that coming up when they're going to roll it out to the district.
Will there be notifications sent home to parents so we could?
We
advise
didn't get
them?
to it, but based on what I've seen in other schools, I think there'll be plenty of notification.
Okay.
And a roll.
I'm just thinking like of an anxious child.
Well,
They're
for
like,
the-
oh, bye. Well, guess what we're doing today?
I went through it with middle schoolers, and I can say middle schoolers in particular can take things kind of cavalier. The kids had pretty, in a different district, but the kids had pretty stern looks on their faces when we went through it. It's it's something you don't want to think about, but
Right.
I think the kids at the middle school level even recognize that it made sense.
No, I understand. I know that
The little
there
guys, though, I
are going to be some kids who the parents have to prep them in advance because they're going to be like then paranoid for the next 3 weeks as to
And
what
they're
happens.
not just rolling out what they're
Right.
planning, and Dr. Jetty's really looking into that. Obviously, budget season, I'll get into that. The first monthly financial report will be out the 24th. The budget should just due last Monday, so they're starting to work through those. And I don't know if you need me to go through the donations. We had a couple donations this month. Big one being a shed from Reed's Ferry donated to LMS for recycling.
That's a hint that I'm not loud enough because I could fix that.
Any question on that, or
Any questions on the
just a general overview?
business administrators up?
I'll ask. Wanda to do it that way. And then the financials, year-end's still on in because the amended. As of right now, it looks like about 626,000 going back to the town. 201,000 from special ed and 425,000 from the general education fund. There's $196,000 still in encumbrances out there, and between the kindergarten, the vestibule, we've got about $152,000 still waiting for payouts for final payments. And any questions on that?
No, I just think it's great. I don't want to encourage additional spending that's not necessary, but I find it intriguing that every year I'm saying we have too much money, we're not conservative enough, and then we end up with a huge bunch of money that doesn't get spent. So it just kills me.
What happens to that money?
Goes back to the town, 600 and
Probably goes back to the town, but then what? Like, does it?
It offsets the tax rate.
It offsets the tax rate. It goes directly to reduce
So,
taxes.
so one of the downsides to that is when you have a big amount, you have a big offset, and then the next year you may not have as much of an offset. So then you go. Whereas if we were nice, consistently spending, we have a nice level offset, and taxes wouldn't jump as much.
You have a new microphone. You don't have
I couldn't believe I needed it. I was
She's
told
getting
no.
excited, so it's gonna get loud anyway.
That's right. I get very passionate about this. Passionate about numbers. I'm sorry.
It's not this year, that's why we might.
Well, like I said, I just get frustrated. I had this discussion. Like last year we had the, well, the default budget is, 200 grand less. We need it. We have to have it. And I said, oh, I think it's too high to begin with. Oh, but we need it. But no, we didn't. So I would just encourage the people to be look into the numbers, look at them hard, and let's have honest discussions. Not that you aren't trying to be honest, but that's a lot of money to tax people and then not spend. Not that I'm encouraging you to spend it if you don't need it, but at the same time, if we don't need it, let's not tax it.
It's about 60 cents on the tax rate.
It's expensive. It adds up.
So when I do all those histories, I do them for a reason.
I just find it interesting. I hear from people that are like, well, we need it. And then I was right to begin with. So for me, it's vindication, but for the rest of the group, we're overtaxing. We're overtaxing.
I didn't mention the negotiations have started for the support staff and the teaching staff, so there'll be more on that coming.
Okay. Do you have an anticipated end date when what's your goal for having a contract ratified?
I don't think there's an end date as of
Okay.
right now. I know they're meeting again, I think this coming,
Preferably before warrant articles are due.
2 weeks.
Well, that's why in past years, we've gone literally to the wire of the night of the hearing.
So I
I
can tell
didn't-
you what
I didn't
happens
hear
then. What happens then when the budget committee doesn't have an
Questions?
opportunity to review said budget? Certain budget members might be willing to not support said budget, said contract if we don't have a chance to review it. So I'm just throwing it out there. If you want to encourage
I
to
would think
ratify
they would-
sooner than later, might be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a sense of,
I would think that they would hope that it would be ratified
well,
in early December.
Beautiful.
And then the last thing is just the enrollment numbers you got. From what we understood is there's no surprises. The big jump is mainly from the pre-K, which wasn't included in the first numbers.
Are we
First week.
going to try to, because we are in this new situation where we have to figure out what the impact is on full day kindergarten in the coming years. Are we going to try surveying for early registration for kindergarten? Because you're on the cusp now. You're at 80.
They usually,
Well, usually they do first grade.
So- Mr. Thompson usually does something in December,
Yeah.
but it is early and
Right.
people
Well,
fluctuate their decisions.
no, I understand, but we'd hate to have, again, 5 days before school and scramble to find another teacher if we can encourage parents to actually register early so we can factor that in advance.
Well, this year we were lucky because people, were happy right after the vote. But again, it was kind of last minute.
Yeah.
So everything tends to happen between
Right.
July and September.
That's because there was a huge, I know we're steadying off now, but there was a huge increase in the first graders. And
That was an anomaly.
Well, that's what I'm just, is it?
Yeah, that was.
As we continue to
Or is that the new normal?
We don't know.
But I can't. until-
It all depends.
That's why I'm saying I would encourage to reach out to the community much earlier and explain to them the consequences of not responding. You don't want to meet your teacher in June and they get upset when you have a new teacher on August 30th because we need to add a teacher because all of a sudden everybody decides to enroll August 15th.
But I think people made the decision to move to this community based on the full day kindergarten and that you couldn't predict, right? So-
Well, I also think that we are a town that now that the economy is doing better, the houses, the empty nesters are selling their houses. People with families are moving in. So I think the fluctuation you see over the summer are going to be more people moving in than people who just didn't feel like signing up. So
It can close. It takes several weeks to close. You can start the paperwork in advance. Tell your realtor to tell the school.
Oh, you can't do that.
you can certainly encourage people, but
I'm just saying, I know there were a lot of people who were upset where my kid met this first grade teacher and now they have a different one. Well, I'm sorry, but if you wait until August 15th to register, we don't know you're coming. So
move the town on August 1st, like what, I mean.
yeah, and there's ways that the school district can handle it. In the past, class lists went up 1st of August kind of thing. So
Correct. Yeah.
there are
That's
ways
okay.
that the school district can choose to handle it, and that's their responsibility. However, you did remind me that between our last meeting and tonight, the school district did add another first grade teacher.
Yes.
So that is going to have a financial impact. How, and I didn't watch that meeting, but how is that going to be made up for?
It wasn't an ad.
Attrition.
Well-
Work out.
One of the high school teachers is working off a grant.
Oh, that's
for,
right.
That Krista McAuliffe thing.
Yeah.
So it
And
worked
what we saved from his salary will go to the salary of the, from what I understand, first grade. So it was a
Addition.
wash.
And it washed.
It was a wash.
Or
It
you could
wasn't
just take it
anything
out of that
added.
extra 625.
Yeah.
It
but
was
did-
already
it did-
budgeted.
It did wash. And
Oh,
Tax people more
that's
than
true
necessary.
because the grant came after
After
the
Mhm.
budget. Okay. So that makes sense.
And
All right.
just a note, kindergarten this year, we got a lot of registrations from people who would have put their kids in private. So it wasn't so much that so many people moved in as much as it was people already here.
Well, then they knew in March.
But they did.
Well, I
And the
think-
only other influx you might see would be the new homes that are going up. So-
And I think the biggest surprise, I think
I was surprised in first
kin-
grade.
yeah, kindergarten came in a little high, but I think first grade was the shocker. First grade was,
First grade was,
It was almost 20 students higher than the projected.
Yeah.
Then was at the end of May.
18.
Yeah.
yeah, it was.
yeah,
actually-
one whole classroom.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. They do enroll kindergarten and first grade in January. I don't know that they can.
No, you can't force
It's really
anybody.
hard.
But if you're the late enrollee, then you get the new teacher.
Yeah.
See, you could have 70 by June and then 100 by August 30th.
So here's another question that I don't know if you know the answer to or not. Traditionally, on October 1st, we do another census of our enrollment, and those are the numbers we use for doing our projections. The person who's been doing our projections for the last 20 years is no longer doing them. Has a discussion happened about how and who is going to do those projections?
I don't know who's doing projecting.
Yes.
Mike or Dr. Jetty. last
Dr.
night.
Jetty and I were discussing that because I've been following trends with kindergarten and first grade and learning how to do enrollment projections myself. But he is going to reach out. He reached out to the NHSAA. They were a little bit high priced.
Mm-hmm.
He also reached out to a former colleague of his who has retired and has done projecteds in the past
Mhm.
and is going to speak with him about not only doing them, but teaching us how to do them so that we can save some money.
Well,
Yeah.
Once you start figuring out the trend, it's a basic.
It's the 3-year weighted average.
Yeah.
That's the formula that
But it's
we're
like, what's the starting
struggling
point? Is it birth?
It's birth.
Eventually, we should see a somewhat of a trend line.
The wild card has always been kindergarten, first grade.
Yeah.
So,
with. Well, the information for births doesn't just come from the annual report. Because just because you live in Litchfield,
Right.
you can register your child's birth anywhere.
Right.
So we have to go to vital statistics.
But eventually, we'll say it's like 3 times the birth rate plus 25
Yeah,
or something.
I
and it's
have
gonna
the
be like a-
spreadsheet, so it's not rocket science. I have
Yeah.
the spreadsheet, but the key is the data.
Yeah, it is. It's just, so we have to, we'll get it. We'll have it done though. It'll get done.
Okay, I was just curious as
we're running top of
The
that.
only time it really matters is when you're like on the cusp. Like,
We're watching it very closely.
I think we're going to see our projections and actual enrollment start to increase. I've been predicting them for a number of years, and the recovery took a while, but I think this is.
But are we
what's
increasing or are we leveling? Because before we were, so now if we're not going down as much and we're leveling, I mean, technically it's still an increase, but it's more of a level.
Are we talking level
So-
to the average or level?
So
Almost seems like a 10-year pattern.
Yeah, could be.
Every 10 years, you get a dip and then you go up.
but I mean, because the break really is 7th and 6th grade. There's a huge drop between all the kids have been 7th grade and up. You know, you've got 105, 110, 117.
Well, we knew
6th
that
and
the
under, you've
decrease-
got 90.
yeah.
So
We knew that
2007
decline was gonna
a
hit
historically low birth
within
year.
the next 4
It's not
years.
just our district. It's
No, but I mean, every class after 6th, so 6th and down, the average is 91.
yeah.
So
or-
are we going to maintain 91 or are we going back up to 100?
I have a feeling we're
I
going to go
would
back
think,
to
yeah.
100 and then some.
At some point,
My
I would
crystal ball
think, but for
says
the next 7 years, you're gonna have, after the big classes move out of the high school, for 7 years, you're gonna have low classes.
Yeah, it's just, it'll be interesting because like the national birth rate is low. So are we, and everybody's moving out. So is it a matter of, I mean, it's the graying of New England. So are we leveling or?
We'll see.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
That's what I'm saying.
Projections.
We're at the point where it'll be interesting to see over the next couple of years as to where the numbers are going
It's
to go.
gonna be real interesting when we do them. to see
All right,
where it
any questions for school district? Member input. I know, Nikki, you went to the training. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the NHMA had the training on budgeting, and Michelle and I
goes. I did.
had a
I
good
was
time
there.
together, and Troy was there, a couple people. So I got to meet some other Litchies, which was cool. I had a chance to print out the one thing was the default budget, some of the changes and things. They talked a lot
I'll have to
about
give it to you now.
that.
Pass some that way.
So did they clarify more specifically as to what goes into a default? budget?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like sort of really trying to hammer into, what does it mean, what sticks
I've
and what
always
doesn't.
thought it was pretty black and white, but apparently it's been a little more gray than I'd expected.
My read of it, because I read it when it came out, it sounds
Yeah.
exactly how we behave. It's just been clarified on what you can and cannot do. The gray area's got black and white in it a little bit.
Yeah.
See, I didn't think they were gray, so it's good to see.
I didn't either. I mean, it's a simple math problem.
I think it got a little more complicated. I haven't finished reading it, but
Mhm.
it looks as though it's going to open up its own new can of worms.
What's interesting is the last part is that during deliberative, the default budget is never really discussed. Just that's what it is. It actually says that it is
Yeah.
permitted to discuss, but there's no change to be made. So then what's the point of discussing?
Well, because when all those people, 5-6 years ago said you're padding the budget and this is why, well, now you can padding the default budget and this is why. That's an opportunity, I guess, to discuss
They
it.
can discuss it, but they can't change it. So it's like,
Change it.
it's kind of just and people discuss it anyway, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, our deliberatives are always fairly open and
For
a lot of
the
good conversations.
20 people who go, yeah.
Well, we've had as high as 50, but
Okay. And so anything else happened there?
I mean, they came up with the supplement, and then I brought the book in case anybody wants to see it. I mean, I've as someone who's kind of new to most of this, I found it really illuminating, and just in general, if you have the opportunity to go to one of the trainings, they had kind of like open questions. You could write your questions down on a little index card, so you didn't have to announce yourself. But I mean, I did ask about, because we had talked about the opportunity to like educate the public, and in years past that they had actually come to the meetings. And kind of the response that I got was more about, well, we train you guys so then you guys can spread the message. I like educating people, and I'm because I'm new to this. I mean, I'm still kind of all the lingo and everything, but I don't know. I'm a big fan of transparency, and I want people. The one main takeaway I took from it was that there really is so much that the voters have control over, and there is a lot more power in their hands than I think maybe some people realize. And maybe if there was some more education out there, some more community outreach, we would get higher numbers at deliberative, or, more people might be involved if they really knew how much that they could and what is possible, the different. So I think a lot of times people stay home because they don't know how to participate. It is kind of, there is a learning curve, and just the amount of things and different amendments that you can make. And, our candidates earlier today were talking about how, if you're not happy with what's going on or you have things to say, to really take advantage of the opportunities that you do have to put it out there. So I guess that's the main thing I walked away with and just more of an appreciation for how New Hampshire does things and really gives people an opportunity to get out there. So take it.
Yeah. And there is power in deliberative, and it is
Yeah.
too bad that people don't come.
So question back on this. Does this apply only to municipal, the updated default, or does that apply to both municipal and school?
It should apply to both. It's
Right, because I find the whole eliminated positions are not to be carried forward in default budgets to be very interesting.
Eliminated. If they're eliminated, but if it's
They have to be
vacant,
under active recruitment and intention to be filled. We have a few that,
that's if they're vacant, read it, because
Yep.
if they're vacant, they can go in the
Yeah.
default.
If they lay somebody off, it can't go on default.
so the
There were a lot of
town
questions about that.
is aware of the change in the default too, then I assume.
vacant
Have they
positions
actually totally
under
internalized it
recruitment,
yet?
though. It's not just a vacant. You can't just say this
Yeah,
is
right,
vacant.
right.
I intend to fill it in 5 years. It's
No, we
Have to-
usually will fill it the next year.
All right, any other member input?
motion to adjourn.
I'm not a member. but
Oh, do
There's,
you have a minute? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I went to a governmental meeting disruptions workshop,
that was very
Did read
interesting.
that.
which was really interesting about how the governing, well, I shouldn't say governing body. You're not a governing body, but you are an elected body. And how you do have the power to curtail or remove someone who is disrupting the meeting, actually stopping you from focusing on the business of the meeting. And I sent it to Cindy, and I think she sent it to everybody.
Yep.
It's really interesting. I have all the backup material and case law studies that they sent us. The main conclusions were basically that our public participation policy at the board level is actually hit right on target with everything that they were that they came forward with and shared with us. And it was just really interesting seeing the fact that First Amendment rights give you anybody a right to speak, no matter who you are, but it does not give you the right to take the business away from the people, in the public bodies.
It's a meeting in the public, not with the public.
That's right. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that was a good memorandum.
Hopefully, we won't be in a situation where we have to remove anybody.
No,
anytime soon.
we're generally not.
I know we've had issues in the past, but it's been since that was before I got involved too, so I don't remember that personally.
All right, we have no public, so
Motion to adjourn.
made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. We will be back here next week, ready to tackle or hear all about the budget.